Hello, super sentence stackers, and thank you for finding your way back to the nation's story. I've read all the pieces that were written in relation to the film The Piano, and I've chosen my favourites and sewn them together, and we've all worked collaboratively to build this piece. This story was very sad but very beautiful, and it told Arthur's story about his life and his time in the war, losing his wife, and some of the things he used to do when he was younger, but finishes in a joyous way as he plays the piano with his grandson. I'm going to do a roll call now of the celebrations of who made it into the final story, and starting off at chunk 1 is Lyra Norman, who's 10. Ellen Scarisbrick, who's 9, wrote chunk 2. Emily C, I didn't quite catch your age. I think you might have missed it off the piece of paper, but I loved your work. Ash and Phoebe, Ash Marcus and Phoebe Martin. Ash is 11 and Phoebe's 8. Kind of did a joint chunk 4 and 5. Harrison, he's 8. He came in with chunk 6. Thomas Waters, who's 9, did chunk 7. 8 is Emily Rogers, she's 11 years old. And Annabelle Rowley, who's 7, does our finale. Okay, the piano. Melodies soared up and away into the sky, and the percussion instrument produced such an exquisite symphony. Arthur's fingers quivered against every key, and they danced on the velvety blackness of the piano lid. Tears welled up in Arthur's eyes as he looked back at his recollections. The orchestra pulled him into a musical dream, and his fingers moved as if they were attached to strings. Ding, ding, dong, ding, and the emptiness was filled with the waltz of distant memories, and a warm smile began to glide across his face. And as his hands repeatedly ran over the keyboard, the astonishing music echoed through the hall. But he was no longer a soloist. His beloved wife started playing majestically next to him, filling their chambers with music, and as their hands touched in love, they created an exquisite piece together. Their Allegro danced around, mirroring Arthur's emotions. They would always play this one song, their favourite, but Arthur sometimes forgot it now because he was getting older and his memory was all foggy. He would always be reminded of her. It was sad every day, but when he played the piano, he remembered her more vividly. He would see her in that way every day, and once in a while he would remember some very, very fragile memories, and then quick as a blink, they'd vanish. Remember how she looked, and how kind she was, and how they always played the piano together. But his wife died, and as soon as he remembered her, she would disappear. As Arthur's fingers tinkered on the piano keys softly, he remembered his time in the war, all the bombs that were dropped on his friends and the rhythms of the enemy's boots. And he thinks back now and he actually can't believe it ever happened to him. And there was this sad moment, and he tried to do something to save him. Oh, this one time he was running until his legs were broken. Well, they felt broken, and he finally made it to the safety of a wall, but his comrade was still waiting. Snipers, pistols, shotguns were firing in harmony with each other. And after all of this, Arthur, well, He thought he was going to be deaf, or he might meet death. Either of them would have been bad. But as he felt his gun, it felt wrong to carry one. He really didn't know what to do. He felt there was no point fighting anymore, and the whistles of the bullets went right around him, and thankfully they never hit him. But they did hit his friend. And as soon as he realised the mistake he had made, he held him tight, but there was no hope. Arthur's fingers walked softly along the keys. All these recollections are so sad. The music is like a time machine. And then Arthur's memory pulls him back, and he can see himself again as a child. And he's been given a box with a blue ribbon. And as the high-pitched notes are played, it gives Arthur sweet memories of something that happened in his childhood. Very delicately, he opened the fragile lid of the present, and right there before his eyes, there it was. His dream had come true. He'd always wanted this toy. He had seen it in the shop window every day. He wished and he hoped he would get it. And finally, he was so happy. His heart beat slightly out of tune. But this was the best moment of his entire life. He touched it gently, and he knew it wasn't fake. He took it out of the box and he looked up at the sky, and finally he thought, I have my dream toy. I love this toy with all my heart. He can remember saying that as a little boy, and he was filled with excitement. His heart was leaping and jumping like a musical fanfare. The little boy started to play with the horse, and like a flash, all the rhythms and gallops intermingled with the sounds of the piano. And as it quickened, he gripped onto his chestnut hobby horse and he galloped around, imagining the wind in his face, and together they danced simultaneously across the floor. A joyful smile beamed across his face as his shiny shoes created a soothing symphony. His thoughts were nudged back to a louder rhythm, and it settled with him in a heart-warming smile, a trusting glance, and his eyes met another family member. His eyes were shining, his heart was beating, his smiles were beaming. This is a memory he would never forget. And Arthur's grandson looked at Arthur, and Arthur looked at his grandson. They were staying in time together. They were playing very, very gently. They did a perfect duet. Oh, thank you, Super Sentence Stackers. What a beautiful rendition of such a gorgeous film. And don't think I didn't notice all the musical language that was tangled through that piece. Your writing is improving every day. I am blown away with the quality of the submissions, and I cannot wait to teach you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to build our writing around a film called Paperman. It's a Disney short animation, and it has won an Oscar. It's a really humorous tale about a gentleman called George. Tune in tomorrow at 9:45 to hear all about your writing challenges. And thank you for listening in with the nation's story. Remember to get your work to me on Twitter and Facebook using the hashtag super sentence stackers, and I'll see you all bright and early in the morning with a pencil, a pen and a paper and your wonderful writing ideas. Thank you, everybody.